Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it last.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And I have a celebrity with me. Yeah, I'm gonna call him a celebrity because it's been what, a year and counting to get you to do this, sir? It has been. I'm here with Pastor Jermaine Johnson. A lot of you know him as Pastor JJ. He's an author, motivational speaker, and as I said, a pastor. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, we're not talking about his most recent book, which is Don't Chicken Out. I believe that's the title of it. We're talking about the one before that. Yes? Yes. All right. So, the 7 P's to effective church leadership. Before you get into that, though, what was the trigger to actually write this book?
When I entered full-time pastoral ministry, fresh out of Northern Carolina University, I joined the North Jamaica Conference. After completing my internship, I was appointed as the district pastor for the Spring Garden district of Seventh-day Adventist Churches in South Trelawney. Having completed the few months remaining to end that year, as I was installed in September of 2015, approximately 10 years ago,
Wow.
I would have gone through the officer selection that we do every year or every 2 years, choosing officers for the various offices. And at the front of 2016, it was time now to, install those officers, just to charge them up and empower them to take on their various ministries for the new year. It was in preparation for this installation that I pondered and meditated and prayed for something that could be meaningful and useful, not just for the occasion, but for the journey ahead. And emanating from that, the Lord inspired me with these P's, using Proverbs and other biblical passages to show them how to strategically execute their offices. It was really to meet the particular need, but it was so effective that I kept using it year after year while improving upon it. And after using it for some time, I recognize it's time to book it. The Lord said, well, you have to spread your wings and let others get this method so that they can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of their ministry.
All right, so let's get right into it. First one.
Yes, so the 7 P's to effective church leadership are pray, ponder, plan, prepare, present, perform, and produce. In fact, there's a jingle. It says, pray, ponder, plan, prepare, present, perform, produce. You're going to be dreaming about that later.
Possibly.
So I went for 7 P's. 7 was one of my favorite numbers. Because it's one of God's favorite. And, 7 P's, it makes it really make it, and it's mnemonic as well. So the first P in the 7 P's to effective church leadership is pray. I will talk about praying. It's about going to God before going for God. For one who ministers for God, and therefore it talks about the importance of first having a relationship. We're talking about making it last. It's all about relationships. Having a relationship with God. Sometimes we become so busy with the work of the Lord that we forsake the Lord of the work. So the 7 P's to effective church leadership says your first priority is not even that executive meeting or committee meeting. It's not even your first special day or the board meeting. It's right to the roots, because it said God is placed in his rightful place, which is first place. Regardless of your good intentions, things will always be displaced in this place. So praying is about engaging with God, the source of your strength and the inspiration, so that he can direct you as to how you go. Because a minister is a servant, and in this case, we see the pastor as the minister. Everybody who has been gifted to carry out something for the Lord is a minister in their own right.
Love that.
Yes. That's what we talk about, youth Adventist youth ministries, but we don't play on it. And I think it also affects the psyche of the people, because they believe that ministry is pastoral. But ministry is everybody, because the pastor himself, though they refer to us as the clerus coming from the clergy, we come from the laos, the laity, the people. If you were not a part of the people of God, you would not have qualified to be one of God's pastors, and as a result, we are all in it together. And I pick technology to bring it home. Some years ago, I was speaking at the Caribbean Versus Annual General Conference, AGM. Annual general meeting, and at the end of my presentation, one of the sponsors and the exhibitors called me aside to ask if I were the one who delivered the speech inside, to commend me on how well it went. Then he asked, "You're a pastor as well?" Yeah, I said, "Yes, I am." And he asked one of the most bizarre questions: "Why a pastor and not just a regular member?" I paused for a moment and reflected, and I said, "Well, technically speaking, I'm just a regular member with the role of the pastor." So what does that mean? Others were waiting now with bated breath to hear the response. I said, well, if my deacons and elders and musicians, music ministers, etc., stop doing their part, stop playing their part, and I succeed, it goes to show that it's all about the pastor. But if they hold back and my ministry suffers, it goes to show that what they do is as important as what I do. And the friends laughed out. I said, the man bowled you over, man. And the man asked, did you rehearse that one? I said, no, but anybody who asks again, it will be the same response.
Before you go into the next one though, even though it was specifically born out of something for church officers, do you then think that this is only applicable for church officers?
An excellent question. I'll tell you right off the bat, several corporate entities have adopted this book locally and abroad. In fact, it was launched in 2023 in the USA. And one of the persons who attended the launch, one of the senior leaders at the, what we call down here is the municipality, I think they call it the city, there Florida. And he told me that, you know, Pastor Johnson, I'll be honest with you, every year we pay thousands of dollars, you know, to say that we are developing our human capital to do like the Sigma program and other programs for our staff. And having gone through your book so quickly because of how easy it is to read, I recognize that what they talk to us about, you have simplified it in just the cost of this little book. And if I were to have paid the thousands that we pay for that program for your work, it would have been worth it. The only label that comes with it that suggests religiosity, and that was deliberate, no doubt, is pray. But the 7 P's to effective church leadership is actually a strategic roadmap to guide persons in ministry. Usually you vote them, you say, look here, trust in the Lord and be faithful, but many people don't understand that faith without works is dead, and that there are strategic ways of implementing the objectives of your ministry to make sure that what you have in your conception can come apart as your reception.
And actually executed.
I'm Pastor JJ, and I hope you've been enjoying the conversation thus far. We'll join our partners and we'll be right back.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics, or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
I recently have been coached by the great Miss Noreen Daly.
This woman has been full of moments of, I see your potential and I see your dreams that you're afraid to dream. So let's get there and let's do it.
Noreen was the one who recognized my flaw, but she didn't leave it there. She led me along the journey of developing my communication skills.
She was able to point out some of my weaknesses that I didn't yet notice.
She exposed me to so many fundamental pillars of communication.
I pray that you have people in your life who are as supportive as she is, who are as much of a gift as she is.
And I 100% recommend Miss Noreen Daly as your coach?
The truth is, I am who I am today because of Noreen's coaching.
Find her. Seriously, find her.
Services include communications consultancy, one-on-one coaching, public speaking and debate training, leadership and team building sessions, plus much more. Visit noreendaily.com for more info. Noreen Daily, redefining the way you communicate.
Langdo Language Institute was created to meet your language and communication needs. All of our packages were created just for you. We are passionate about language and dedicated to your success. We offer the CSEC English program, the Study Buddy program, the Get Ahead with English program, and the Business Communication program. Contact us at 767-285-0938 or email us at langdolanguage@gmail.com. Because the real question is, how can we help you?
Welcome back.
All right, so since I know it's going to be difficult to try to get you to complete it, let's see if we can just run through the rest of the... Yes.
So that's the prayer.
Great.
So ponder, having prayed about it, and not just pray casually like an opening prayer. No. Okay. Because prayer here is about connecting deeply with God. Because what you do for the Lord is a part of the great controversy, spiritual warfare. So depending on the gravity of your office, sometimes you need to come aside even with your team members and say, hey, white exec, let's have a praying and fasting session so we can ask the Holy Spirit to guide us and to inspire us with the best methods to engage our young people. That's the kind of prayer, not opening prayer kind of prayer. That's important, but this is really connecting deeply with God, because at the end of the day, the Bible says, a man's heart deviseth his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. Then when we go to ponder, that's where you think about the needs of your department. Consider what's happening. You could maybe do a little feedback, a little, a questionnaire, or just bounce things off. And if you've been around long enough, you will observe a number of things from your own assessment. And to say, hey, based on what I'm seeing, I think the women are in need of this, I think the men are in need of this. That's the pondering thought. Because listen, you have to get your thoughts together. That God never gave you your brain for him to do all the work and you just sit aside. He inspires you, but then you must give thought to what is to be done. And what God is a thinker. That's why he says, I know the thoughts or plans, some versions say. And therefore, when you're coming like your father in Jamaica, we say chicken are far, far from black. Or the apple doesn't far, far from the tree. So you ponder the needs of your department or ministry and note them. Having done so, now it's time to pray, ponder, plan. That's when you come to the drawing board. The first two P's are personal to the ministry leader. And by the way, though it speaks about church officers, these strategies are applicable to church administrators and pastors at all levels of the church.
And people in other spheres as well.
There you go. So after praying, that's you connecting to God, with God. Pondering, that's you doing your assessment. You don't come to the table empty. Now you come to plan. Because plans by planning, things are established. So you come together now in the multitude of counselors, Proverbs say. So there is wisdom, and you share your ideas, your team members bounce off some on you, and then you can always shortlist and fine-tune your plans. But you are not ready as yet to proceed to the execution. Now it's time to prepare. Having put a plan in place, it's time to do the preparation, the groundwork. So you can set up committees at this time and assign or delegate responsibilities to different individuals. And in the preparation stage, one must answer all the asking words, all the question asking words. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Where will it be done? And even if it has to do with the church, don't take for granted that the Sabbath you have in mind, for example, is available. Check with your pastor, your elder, the calendar of events. So where will it be done? What will be done? Why will it be done? That's the objective. Where will it be done? When will it be done? How will it be done? Who will do it? And sometimes to avoid ambiguity, you want to also say which. So let's say you're planning a youth day and we want a pastor to be the preacher. Which pastor? You must not leave anything in obscurity. Everything must be clarified. So you must answer those questions. If there's a budget involved, don't just come and say, so imagine that you come into the board and say, Chairman, go ahead, Sister Daly. We're happy to announce to you that the young people want to have a Youth Day 2025 in November of this year. And what date are you thinking of? Well, I'm not quite sure. Maybe the first Sabbath or the second Sabbath. You're not ready yet. And you might say, we want to invite out over 50 young people and we want to do a lunch for the day. How much for that lunch? You're not ready yet. By the way, that's why board meetings tend to be so long and drawn out because people are using that level of authorization to do the planning. I remember going to a certain district and board meetings were running 4.5 hours and they thought this was necessary because you're doing the work of the Lord. I said, Brethren, that will not happen. And we managed to cut down board meetings to 1 hour and a half. Not because we've neglected our duty to God, but because we have refined the process. Come on now. So preparation, if you need programs for the youth day, we're using that as a case for the year, you're going to find out from the printer or a couple of printers, use some procurement processes, man. Get 3 quotations to see where the best print prices are. You're going to cater for 50 young people, talk to the church chef and say, Sister, Jenny, we want to do so and so much. I think it's the cost. I say, well, based on where things are now, we can cater for them for $15,000 and you get those figures and you put together a budget. If you want Pastor JJ to be the speaker, you don't come to it, even though there's a protocol as it relates to engaging speakers externally. That protocol doesn't prohibit you from at least making preliminary contact informally just to find out if the person is available and interested. So don't come and say, well, for the speaker, who you use? I was thinking about Pastor JJ. Have you contacted Pastor JJ? So I did a phone call and say, Pastor, I know that we have to go through the service call and Pastor will touch base, but we have a Youth Day on November X day. And we wondered if you'd be so kind to ask to grace us with your presence. And Pastor said, well, my calendar is clear, so if the brethren will have me, you can always proceed with that.
Here, one of the things of what they're talking that I'm thinking is this forces people to become very specific and very detailed.
Come on, somebody. And intentional.
There you go.
Give me a high five.
There you go. There you go.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it